Yo, what's good everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be breaking down the Nhl Dfs slate for Wednesday, May 10th. And we got ourselves another two-game slate here tonight where I'm going to go through a couple of my favorite line stacks, some of my favorite individual plays, and some of my favorite value plays. And then we'll wrap up today's video talking a little prize picks. With that being said, let's dive into my spreadsheet. And we're going to kick things off here like we always do in the top left-hand corner with those highest implied game totals. We got the Golden Knights at Oilers coming in at 7 goals here. Maple Leafs at Panthers coming in at 6.5. And then take a look down here at the Vegas odds where you can see the Oilers and Maple Leafs are favored to win tonight. And then here's a midweek schedule update. Again, an Nhl Dfs video coming up for you guys today and tomorrow for sure. Friday is to be determined. If the Maple Leafs do win here tonight and force a Game 5 for Friday, I will break down that two-game NHL slate as well. With that being said, let's dive into a couple of line stacks that I like here for tonight. Starting with that first line for the Edmonton Oilers, we got McDavid centering Draisaitl and Kane. Now the Oilers are down 1-2 in this series against the Vegas Golden Knights, playing at home here tonight. I don't want to say this is a must-win game for them, but if they lose here tonight, go down 1-3 in this series, and then need to head back into Vegas, it would be really tough to come back from that. So I'm expecting this top line here to be aggressive early and often, really like they've done all playoffs long. McDavid and especially Draisaitl have dominated. Draisaitl's got 13 goals already through 9 games. Add 4 assists to that. He's leading the entire playoffs right now with 17 points. McDavid is tied for second with 5 goals, 10 assists. We know the upside these two offer every single night. And Evander Kane just benefits from that here playing with these two. Unfortunately, he does not play on the number 1 power play with McDavid and Draisaitl, but at $5,200, that's a relatively cheap price to play with arguably the two best players in the NHL. Now, being that first line for the Oilers is still relatively expensive, we're going to need to find some cheaper plays to mix them in with. I kind of like this third line here as a cheaper line stack for the Florida Panthers. We got Lundell centering Luostarinen and Reinhart. Now, Lundell and Reinhart have been very solid these playoffs. These two have combined for 6 goals, 8 assists, 14 points in 10 games, averaging about 1.5 points per game between the two. Lundell plays on the number 2 power play, Reinhart plays on the number 1 power play. Iida Luostarinen here has been very quiet in the playoffs so far, but he's shown throughout the regular season he is definitely someone that can meet 4, 5, even 6x value at this current price. So while he hasn't done much these playoffs, I am willing to justify him at that price there. Even though he doesn't get any time on the power play, he does log solid minutes with Lundell and Reinhart, 5-on-5. Now folks, before we dive into some of my favorite individual plays here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Don't forget, I am running that Discord channel as well, and we got a great group of people in there talking hockey and posting prize picks for multiple different sports. If you want to join that, there's a link to do so in the description below. And again, trying to build a brand here on the GriffDogg channel. One of the new series that we've released here is the Mulligan Masters. Just posted a new video here on Monday night. If you could go watch this, like the video, show it some love, I would really appreciate that. Alright, now diving into some of my favorite individual plays here, we're going to kick it off with the forwards, and the first two guys that I want to highlight are together with Matthew Tkachuk and Sam Bennett of the Florida Panthers. Really like this duo here, and what I would do is pair them up with Brandon Montour, being that all three of those guys play on the number 1 power play together. Tkachuk is currently tied for second in the playoffs with 15 points, 5 goals, 10 assists, and ever since Bennett got bumped up to that number 1 power play, I love the correlation you get with him and Tkachuk, especially at that price there at $5,100. And for what it's worth here, you can see these two are top 2 in expected goals for the Panthers these playoffs as well. Tkachuk in first at 4.7, Bennett at 4.6. He might have some positive regression coming his way as well. Now, the next two guys that I want to highlight here together are on the Vegas Golden Knights side of things with Jack Eichel and Jonathan Marchessault. And for what it's worth, I got Ivan Barbashev here as well as a low-priced option. So I really don't mind stacking up that first line tonight for Vegas in general. They've been really solid here throughout the playoffs. Pulling open these lines right now, you can see here, and I did filter this for lines that have played at least 40 minutes together in the playoffs. But once I did that, you can see here the expected goals per 60 minutes, they're currently second in the NHL. Now, I know they technically only have 20 points together as a line through 8 games, averaging just over 2 points per game, but for what it's worth, I think this is another line here and set of players that have some positive regression coming their way. And then another player that I like here in the 4K range is Ryan O'Reilly of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Maple Leafs are down 0-3 in this series against the Florida Panthers. Obviously a must-win game for them if they want to keep their season alive. That's why they brought in Ryan O'Reilly for big games like this, and especially at this price here, considering the ice time he gets on that third line and number 1 power play, I think he offers some really nice value here. But again, considering the circumstances for the Maple Leafs, I like him even more. I don't mind targeting the number 1 power play for the Maple Leafs in general here tonight, something I've done really throughout the entire playoffs because they're very lethal. And again, Florida Panthers are definitely not afraid to take penalties, having taken 39 so far through 10 playoff games, are essentially averaging 4 per game. Now, moving over here to the defensemen, and I'm just sticking with the same strategy that I've done all playoffs long, targeting these 4 guys here on their team's number 1 power play, stacking them up with some forwards. Brandon Montour talked about the 3-man stack I like with him, Matthew Tkachuk and Sam Bennett of the Florida Panthers. Morgan Rielly's been very solid for the Toronto Maple Leafs. You could stack him up with any one of the forwards on that number 1 power play. Same thing here with Evan Bouchard of the Edmonton Oilers. Oilers have the best power play in the NHL, and they have all year long. $4,900 for him. I'll absolutely take that. And then Shea Theodore here did play on the Vegas Golden Knights number 1 power play last game, but him and Pietrangelo do kind of go back and forth. I'll take Theodore here at this price of $4,700, but I certainly don't mind Pietrangelo either. And then I got some honorable mentions there in the 3 to 4K range that I think are offering some nice value. And then I got a couple of goaltenders there. Without sounding like a broken record, I've mentioned this all throughout round 2. Only 4 goalies to choose from. I'm really not discounting any one of these guys, but my favorite 2 here tonight are Stuart Skinner of the Edmonton Oilers. Think the Oilers bounce back here tonight at home and tie up this series 2-2. And then Sergei Bobrovsky, while I certainly don't mind the Toronto Maple Leafs here tonight, expecting them to play desperate hockey, it's really hard to ignore the way that Bob is playing right now, especially at that price. And as always, going to wrap up the spreadsheet here with 3 low-priced options or sub-4K forward plays. First guy got there is William Karlsson of the Vegas Golden Knights. Plays on the third line in number 2 power play. Has truly been solid throughout these playoffs so far with 4 goals, 2 assists, 6 points in 8 games so far. He's also tied for 3rd on the team in expected goals. Next is Anthony Duclair of the Florida Panthers. Plays up on that first line in number 2 power play. Started the playoffs off really slow, even got benched a game there against the Boston Bruins, but ever since he's come back, he has played solid hockey, kind of found his game again, with 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points in his last 6 games. And then Ivan Barbashev, name-dropped him earlier when talking about that first line for the Vegas Golden Knights. He also plays on the number 2 power play, and just like Karlsson, he actually has 4 goals, 2 assists, 6 points, and is tied for 3rd on the team in expected goals. Literally the exact same stats. And then to wrap up this video here, want to talk a little prize picks with you guys. Now, I got to give a shout out to Tristan in the Discord. He put out these 2 NHL picks this morning before I started recording, and I really like them. John Tavares over 3.0 shots on net, Leon Draisaitl over 3.5. Both these guys are currently offering value on the books right now. You got Tavares at 3.5 coming in at plus 105, Draisaitl at 3.5 coming in at minus 130, and both these guys should be playing a little desperate hockey here tonight, especially the Maple Leafs being down 0-3 in that series against the Florida Panthers. And again, I talked about this during the DFS side of this video. Oilers don't want to go down 1-3 in this series against Vegas and then have to go back into Vegas for Game 5. Plus, Draisaitl's been the best player in the playoffs so far, again with 13 goals through 9 games. Now, for those of you who have not signed up for Prize Picks yet and you want to get in on this action, I got a promo code that you should definitely take advantage of. When you're signing up, use my promo code GRIFF. GRIFF, and Prize Picks is going to give you all the way up to a $100 match deposit. Now, you don't have to put $100 in. If you want to put in $50, $20, $10, $5, they will match that. Again, they'll match anything up to $100 as long as you're using my promo code GRIFF. GRIFF, upon signing up. Alright everyone, that's going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great day here, folks. Let's win some money on this 2-game slate. In the meantime, I'm out of here.